The year is 1941, and all of Germany's neighboring countries and much of the rest of Europe have been overrun by the German army and are now under Nazi rule. However, there's a white spot in the middle of Central Europe, a country that was to maintain its independence until the very end and thus survive the Second World War largely unscathed: Switzerland. The Swiss declared their neutrality from the beginning and wanted nothing to do with Hitler's war of aggression. But other countries, such as Belgium and Norway, also declared themselves neutral and were nevertheless conquered and drawn into the war. In fact, even in the case of Switzerland, Hitler was quite indifferent to the declaration of neutrality. From the very beginning, he firmly planned to conquer the neighboring country, and later, under the guise of Operation Tannenbaum, he also developed plans for the conquest of Switzerland. And internally, he referred to Switzerland as a pimple on the face of Europe from the very beginning. But what did these secret plans for the conquest of Switzerland look like, and how did Switzerland manage to be spared until the end of the war? We take a look at all of these questions in today's video. Enjoy! To the outside world, relations between Germany and Switzerland appeared relatively relaxed before the war. Switzerland declared its intention to maintain its permanent neutrality, and Hitler also repeatedly promised that Germany would respect Switzerland's neutrality in the event of a military conflict in Europe. A few years later, however, it turned out that these were all just political maneuvers to guarantee Switzerland's passivity for the time being. One wanted to take care of the main enemies on the continent first and then turn one's attention to Switzerland. Hitler's contempt for the Swiss was particularly evident in a meeting with Mussolini in 1941. He referred to Switzerland as a wayward branch of the German people. It was a thorn in his side that different ethnic groups lived together peacefully in Switzerland, as this clearly contradicted his racial theory. And so he also raised the possibility of dividing the Alpine Republic between Germany and Italy. He began to draw up various plans for the conquest of Switzerland on the day of France's surrender. These were finally summarized on October 4th, 1940 under the keyword Operation Tannenbaum. However, the Swiss did not trust Hitler either and started mobilizing and producing weapons from the beginning of the war in order to be able to oppose a German invasion. However, according to German planning, this was to be opposed by a German-Italian army, which surrounded Switzerland from all sides and was about 350 to 500,000 men strong. The Swiss army was to be lured out in the canton of Jura and then cut off from the rear as in the French campaign. In parallel, the Italians were to begin the invasion from the south. After all the victories of Germany, the Axis powers also seemed to be oppressively superior to the Swiss, and yet everything turned out differently. For unexplained reasons, Hitler never gave the order for the conquest, and to this day it is not clear why he never implemented the extensive invasion plans and instead turned his attention to other countries. There are only a few theories as to why this might have been the case. One is that a neutral Switzerland was much more valuable to Hitler than an occupied one. The German Reich was able to process about 75% of their gold transactions going abroad through the Swiss banking system, and the two countries cooperated economically in other areas as well. Germany, which was otherwise economically cut off from the world, thus continued to have an arm abroad. Another reason, however, could have been the actual difficulty of conquering Switzerland. In the event of an invasion, the Swiss planned to leave the low-lying major cities behind and engage the Germans in an endless battle in the Alps. Who would have won this battle in the end is of course difficult to estimate, but it would have tied up a lot of troops and would also have been extremely costly. In addition, the strategic gain of Switzerland, which posed no threat due to its neutrality, would have been very small. It is possible, of course, that if the war had gone differently, Hitler would have gone back to the plans at a later date. But fortunately, the plans were completely put on ice after D-Day. So if you're also interested in the insane German plan to invade Great Britain, I recommend you this video. Just click here and see you there.